Okay, I'll let you, if you don't have, yeah, maybe. Is it working for you? Okay. Okay, we called the meeting to order. Is there any additions to the agenda? Brenda? Quick report. DE, Counselor 5. No, Division 5. Counselor report. 4.3E. Okay, any other additions? Don? Division, I think you're done there. Division 3 already you're on. Okay, Rex?
I have a ratepayer concern, a road concern. I don't know if you want it in my report or if we can discuss it somewhere else. I did email it this morning on my way to council, so you all have the pictures.
I see Mike's in here and Dave's in here. How long are you in here for? For, yeah, okay, for capital equipment, and then, so you're for A, B, C, D? Okay, let's put that in as D1, 2.2 D1, as Rex is concerned what Public Works is here. So 2.2 D1, Rex has a ratepayer concern about a road. Okay, any other additions? Someone, Brenda?
And as amended?
Okay, any questions? All in favor? Carried. Adoption of the minutes, July 5th, 2017, Wheatland County Committee of the Whole meeting minutes. Alice?
I moved the minutes for July 5th, 2017.
Okay, is there any questions or concerns? All in favor? Carried. Minutes for July 18th, 2017, regular council meeting minutes.
So moved.
Ben has moved. Is there any questions or concerns? All in favor? Carried. And the July 18th, 2017 public hearing minutes for bylaw 2016-45, 2017-01, 11, 12, 17, 18, and 21. Don? Is there any questions or concerns? All in favor? Carried. August 15th, 2017, regular council meeting minutes.
So moved.
Ben has moved. Is there any questions or concerns? All in favor? Carried. August 15th, 2017, public hearing minutes, bylaws 2017-15 and 217-47. Brenda?
I so move.
Any questions or concerns? Carried. No, all in favor. Sorry, all in favor again? Carried, thank you. I was getting kind of monotonous there. Okay, new business, request for decision. 2.2A. Rex? You want to talk or you just waving hi?
waving at Lisa, I haven't seen her in 2 months.
Oh. Okay. Any questions?
I'll move to approve bylaw 2017-51 to amend bylaw 2016-52 based on the information provided in the RFD.
Okay, Brenda?
Just have a, can somebody clarify the amendment? What the amendment was on this?
It's right under key issues there.
I know.
It's adding, accepting thereof all mines and minerals was missed on the application of the form.
Oh, to add
Yeah,
the exception of, is that what's?
that's always on those, accepting thereof all mines and minerals, that wasn't on the document. And it has to be on the document.
Accepting lands, give me that, like, I'm not sure. It's taking lands and minerals out of it?
So it's not land, through every land titles, because we don't own the mineral rights on those parcels of land, that has to be accepted out of any land transfer titles that occur. So that, in this land transfer title, was missed on the description for that bylaw. So it's in every, well, not in every one, I should say, but the majority of land
Unless you
titles
own
do not
unless you own the
the
mineral rights.
the mineral rights underneath that. So that accepted outside of, out of the title.
Out of the title, so except, that the exception.
That's right. So if it went through as it was right now, then the landowner would own the mineral rights, which is incorrect because somebody else owns the mineral rights for that property.
The word accepting was throwing me off there.
Okay, accepting out.
Okay, thank you.
That's legal jargon for those documents. That's how they word them all.
Yeah, I know, it's just that I was.
Any questions? So bylaw 2017-51, does that have third reading?
Mr. Chairman, we need first, second, and third reading, please.
Because of this
Permission.
amendment thing?
Yes.
Okay. So Ben, you've moved first reading. You said approve it, so I need somebody to move first reading, is what I'm hearing. We have to have 3 readings.
Well, Ben moved first reading already, before I had my question even.
Ben moved approval of the thing, so I'm just making it clear for the minutes that Ben's moving first reading. Is there any questions? All in favor? Carried.
I'll move second reading.
Any questions or concerns? All in favor? Carried. Knowing permission. Ellis has moved permission to have third reading. All in favor? Carried unanimously.
I'll move a
Brendan
third
moved
reading
Third reading.
of bylaw 2016-52.
51.
No, 51, sorry, the amendment, yeah.
Okay. Any questions? All in favor? Carried. Request for decision. Bylaw 2017-52. This is the same thing. Brenda,
I shall move first reading of bylaws 2017-52.
is there any questions? All in favor? Carried. Alice?
And I'll move second reading on bylaws 2017-52.
2016.
Oh,
52.
I'm sorry, 2017.
2016. Mine
Oh, I
says
see.
2016-52.
So we have.
What is it? Is it 2016-52 or 2017-52? Should be.
2017-52 to amend 2015-53.
Yeah,
You
Okay,
did what I did,
you're right.
yeah,
took the last one.
yeah. Any questions? 2017-52.
Okay.
All in favor? Carried. Motion for permission. Don? Permission for third reading. All in favor? Carried unanimously. Ben? Move
Third reading.
Any questions? All in favor? Carried. Thank you. Request for decision, Township Road 252 construction project. Brenda?
I have some questions, I guess, about this. 243, which is this road right here. Okay, and it said that the funds, you want the funds reallocated because of the land deals that didn't go through there. My only concern is the curve in the road. Did we fix that or temporary fix that? Because it had flooded in the spring. So like as you go north over the fire guard, there's that little loop-de-doo in there. So I don't have a problem with not changing the road and stuff, but I'm just concerned about that spot. Because there is one location there, right, that causes concern, is that little, once you go past the fire guard, it's about a quarter of a mile up. And it's a curve in the road because of the slough. It goes around the slough.
Are you talking about the actual fire guard where the road goes around the slough? That,
I'm
oh,
talking about straight north on this, sorry, Rex, straight north on this road to, right outside here, going north past Vawiers and past Paul Damon's. So as you go over the fire guard and you go up there, there's a light, like there's a slough in the middle of the road, and it was wore around that corner. So the actual rebuild of the road is fine to change, but I'm just concerned about that one spot, right?
Right. So yeah, through the chair, we were planning on repairing that at the same time we're doing the road construction. Now, obviously, we have to move off. We are still able to go in and build up the road surface on that, as long as we're staying outside, because there's a fairly substantial wetland there, so we would need environmental approval to go outside of the road line. So we're able to go in and build it up, and we will, hopefully this fall, if we can get to it. I guess the main intent behind this RFD was the entire road project and the dirt we needed to rebuild that wasn't able to go through. We see another alternative here with Township 252 that needs rebuilding. There's a couple of factors. The water line is being installed in the next couple of months here, so we've actually asked them to delay the installation of that to hopefully get that road constructed before they get there. There's a substantial hill, substantial cut that's going to be taken out of that hill. A lot of the landowners in the area have had problems for years and years on that one. So there's no environmental approval on that. We can hopefully get the design in and done and working on it in the next few weeks if council goes forward with this.
So through the chair, my understanding is then that this road won't be done, but there will be repairs done on it under another budget. This budget is for construction, and that goes to the other.
That's correct. Through the chair, the repairs would just be done through the maintenance. We can build it up. Looking at I haven't heard of a major problem in that, so we can talk with the landowners and talk with Tom a little bit more about what we can do for the short term on here until we can actually get in and do that. I'm not saying that road is going to be taken off the program here. We're just having delays in getting it signed up here.
Yeah, I don't have an issue with changing it around for that reason. I guess my only concern is where the low spots are on that road. And if it has to go on what Dave or you guys call a short or maintenance short build. So, because I know that was an issue, it was in the spring as well. So I don't know, it kind of acts a lot like the road over that we were talking about over in my area where that slough is off the 564 as well. Kind of acts like that. It sinks in the spring and does that whole. So if we can just the one spot is, I guess, is my concern, and it was brought to my attention, I guess, so.
So through the chair, I'll move that council approve the reallocation of funds in the 17 budget from Range Road 243 to fund the construction of Township Road 252 in 1725-22.
Yeah, I still want to see it on a map quick, please, just so trying to,
Have you got a,
I just want to see them both together in comparison to where they are.
One's out there.
So on page 20, of your book, I thought it was 28 of your book. 35 below. Let's just take the test and then see if we know.
yeah, I got a map up there.
29, actually page 29, Rex.
29, okay.
And it's, the township road is, south of 17. So it's right by Jensen's and Fraser's, am I right?
Yep.
And then the other one is in my division, and that was page, I thought 19, but let me just, no. No. No, that was,
What are they, 10, 12 miles apart?
yeah. Just out of curiosity, Mike, what's all of
Page
those-
15.
page 15?
Your mic, your mic.
Sorry. On that road rebuild on the one that's in my division, so if you go to page 15, Rex, it's right along the Highway 243.
We'll get
So-
Mike to pull it up on the screen, everybody
Yeah.
can see it.
On that, was that rebuild right from here, from Highway to 564, or what section was it? Was the 3? How far did it go?
So there's actually a couple, sorry, through the chair, there's a couple sections on 243 north of the highway here. One, there's a 1 mile section from Township 250. We were going to do a mile north of that. And then there is another section from Highway 564 that's still on the program. We're just waiting on environmental approval. That's going 2 miles south of 564. So those are two sections that are in the next year and a half, hopefully going to
Okay.
be constructed. See, I'll try and pull them up here.
No, that's okay. I just wanted to know, so there's 3 miles out of 4 then you're doing on that road?
This is that curve that you're talking about, the little dip.
Yeah, it's through it's through a wetland
It
there.
pulls up here, yeah.
So I guess my only question then would be, we're changing our road build to the, to fund the construction of Township Road 252? Okay, so when you say that's coming out of maintenance, when is that coming out of maintenance? When are you gonna?
Well, and that's, like I say, yeah, we haven't, up until today, I wasn't aware that there was enough of a major issue to, we haven't had many landowner concerns, at my side at least, with that being flooding. So if it is a concern, that's why I'll talk with Tom and Dave and hopefully,
My theory is it's your discretion, right? So
Yeah.
have a look at it and make sure, I guess, because that usually is a problem in spring when they get the equipment through there, eh?
Right.
That's when I got the calls. So I guess if we can bank her up until
Yeah, yeah, we
until
would
we get
just-
to the road construction is all that's important.
exactly. Yeah, it would just be a temporary fix. We don't put too much into it because we're going to be tearing it out in a couple of years when we
Yeah.
redo it. So we just,
And it
bank
may
it
be
up.
fine now because it's been so dry. Like the other thing is
Yeah.
it's been really, really, really dry.
Yeah.
So it may just be fine. Depends on how much rain we get in the fall and how much snow we get in the winter, right?
Exactly, yeah. What they're calling for, right?
And I think some of the farmers are just driving on their own land there because there's so many quarters that are owned and rented by the same farmer.
Right.
So,
Okay, any other questions? Ben has moved, all in favor? Carried. D, request for decision, purchase capital equipment. Rex?
So we've had many of these discussions at length. Currently, so now we're about to do this again, I guess. So currently I guess I've started on it. Currently, our heavy trucks are sole sourced, right, through Kenworth? They never were sole sourced, our heavy trucks? Okay. Okay, I had a question.
Okay.
Hmm.
That's all we have though is Kenworth, isn't it?
No.
The big trucks? Oh, okay. Brenda?
So it's under my understanding, it's just the cats and the scrapers, and
It's
these
listed
large
on
piece
here.
of equipment, which are Caterpillar, is the only sole sourcing. The rest, the half tons, Alice and I had a debate about this, whether Ford or Chev should be a good one. So we were debating the other day, but it's just the large equipment because we already have parts in stock for that. So it's the cats, the scrapers, and what was the other?
Graders.
Graders, yeah. Just those 3 items that are only sole sourced.
That's all we're talking about today. Jim?
So, Mr. Chairman, the rest of the vehicles and heavy trucks are put in, up on the Alberta Purchasing Connection and bid on accordingly. And then those are reviewed by staff and based on the approved budget are moved forward at that time.
Okay. Any questions? Alice?
I move the Wheatland County approve sole sourcing of our heavy, medium construction equipment to Caterpillar for 2018. That's 2 627K scrapers, 1 14M motor grader, and 1 160M all-wheel drive motor grader.
Okay, any questions, Rex?
Yeah, so in the motion, it states 2018. So does that mean when 2019 hits that this sole sourcing is strictly just for 2018 and you can revert back to 2019 to whichever you choose, or how does that work?
That's what it means.
Yeah, so through the chair, we bring this request back every year just to ensure the council's still on the same page and permitting us to go forward. Buying the CAT equipment is much easier. We know we have a good relationship. We have reliability. We have interchangeability with the parts we have right now, which is a big thing. And the quality, for sure, is something that we don't see anywhere else. Better resale, for sure, 100%, yeah. Yeah, so this is just for these few pieces of equipment that are listed here. 2019, we'll be buying more equipment for sure, and we'll come back with the same request for sole sourcing on that.
Yep.
What do you use, what information do you use before you sole source them out? Is it hourly rate or condition of the equipment, or?
So when we, really, the experience with the equipment is what we rely a lot of our decision and our requests for sole sourcing on these equipment. Like I say, with the inventory we have right now for the existing parts is a big factor. And then, oh, sorry, you're saying about the disposal of the?
No, I was just wondering what criteria you use before you get rid of a piece of equipment.
Oh, sorry, okay, yeah. No, that's, it really relies a lot on the hours. There's a certain formula the guys use out there. They've sold enough equipment to know what's kind of the breaking point for a piece of equipment, what it'll go. I mean, it changes on the economy too and what people are looking for out there, but it's normally the hours and what is pending on a piece of equipment. We sold a grader a few years back that was lower hours, but the transmission was on its way out, so we wanted to make sure it was off and out of our books before something major went on it. So the mechanics, they rely a lot on their experience with them when we make the determination.
Any other questions? Alice moved the motion. All in favor? Opposed? Carried. And Rex, you have a question. Sorry, I never looked at it yet.
That's fine. Wonder if, am I able to pull up my email on that computer? Is it okay?
Go ahead, Rex, yeah. Oh, boy. I thought it was going to be a picture of a hole in the road.
I thought it was too, but it's upside down.
Yeah.
This is my presentation. I can see why. I did send an email this morning from Peter Hoff on a road concern. Peter did call Alice Booth yesterday as well. I'll just read his letter real quick. It says, bad pothole at corner of Township Road 224 and Range Road 231. Hopefully they put some warning up there. My wife was going less than 40 kilometers an hour and slowed down further, but too late. Tried phoning after our county road hazard, but no answer. People over there said phoned in almost 2 weeks ago. Thankfully, no one was hurt. And then there's 2 images which I've emailed to you. So I talked to Peter on my way in this morning, and he said he phoned the after hours, which gives him another number or something, and he phones that, and there's nowhere to leave a message or get a hold of anybody. So that's one of my major concerns. The other concern is that he's being told, so I can't say that this is a fact, that this was called in 2 weeks ago, and now we have an accident on that road, and nothing was flagged. Well, he says it doesn't have to be repaired right away, but as long as it's flagged. So what had happened was he was pulling his combine header down the road, had hit the hole and flipped over the header. Had flipped the header over on the road, so it damaged the reel on his header. It twisted the hitch, but the truck had sat there, hadn't moved, but the whole trailer flipped over. So he thinks the header's okay, but the reel, he's looking for a new reel this morning to put on his combine. So I don't know, I don't know what usually happens in these cases, but if he is true saying that there's been a complaint within the last 2 weeks and we haven't even flagged it, first of all, hopefully you guys this brought to your attention and you're going out to address it. Second of all, what is the policy, or what do we do in a case like this? Because normally I don't think we pay for repairs, right? And so through our insurance or through his own insurance?
Through the, oh, sorry, go ahead. I was just going to say, through the chair, I'd suggest that we you've brought it forward, that you turn that over to the staff and allow staff to go out there and investigate it, find out what the issue is and then bring a report back to council. And in the meantime, if the landowner gets a hold of his insurance, they will deal with our insurance and it'll follow through that way. But I would suggest before we start assuming what has happened, that we allow staff a chance to go out and have a look at it.
That's what you were going to say, Mike, or you want to add more?
Yeah, no, through the chair, that's exactly right. Whenever we get a concern like this brought up, definitely we encourage them to go right through their insurance company. And then insurance contacts our insurance and they work together to try and resolve it. And then in some instances where they aren't resolved to their satisfaction, then I recommend that if they like, they can bring a request to council. But normally we do hands off right now with until it's worked out through the insurance.
Okay.
Yeah, so the resident was, he was talking about possibly going through insurance, whether he does or doesn't. He's been very, very cordial, very polite, so I just would like to accommodate somebody. I guess my concern is nobody here knew until today, close to 9 o'clock. So where are these calls going? These after-hours calls need to be answered sometime. That could have been Saturday morning instead of Monday afternoon. So that needs to be addressed.
Mike?
So through the chair, I was just going to overview our complaint process and our after-hours procedures. So basically, when a complaint comes in or a road concern comes in, it's documented over in the Public Works. It usually goes right to their reception over there. They have documented it in a work order format, and then it's forwarded to the appropriate foreman, basically. So we would have a record of that. We can go back first thing and check, see where that was, if it is in our files and if it came through, and then what kind of action was taken on that. As far as after hours, there is an after hours number that gets forwarded typically to whoever's on call. If it's a foreman, there is an after hours cell phone that goes out and should be responded to. So we can follow up and see where it was on that with that, what happened with the message on that.
Okay, does that answer your questions? Okay. Alice?
And thank you for that, Rex. At 10:42 last night, I got a call from the same gentleman, quite upset, concerned that 2 weeks ago it had been told to someone here in the county, and yet nothing was done, no flagging, no nothing. And so I got pictures too, and he said, he tore his header apart. He was just putting it together, maybe bent too much to use. So it could have destroyed most of that header. That's a pretty big picture here. So if there's a complaint made, and I know I've got one in my area from the Clark, the construction that was done a year ago, and I had a fairly angry resident about they'd signed up the road program and the dust control wasn't put down. But the day before I got there, I guess the coal mix got down, but the calcium hadn't. So these things come back to councillors when we have a problem. And my answer to them was, I wish they'd have phoned me sooner. I could have come in and brought it back to council and the CAO. But they hadn't, because they had phoned the road crew and the foreman. So I don't know what the procedures are with the road crew, the road building crew, right? We've got more than one crew. Whether they're supposed to report it to you guys or to the CAO, how do they report? Because obvious this hasn't got done. And I don't know if the calcium's got done. It was just last week when I was down paying a visit to the Clarks that this came to light to me. We don't have that many road building programs going on, and I don't know why the dust control is not automatically put on to the next year for, the crew to go out and do. I don't know how you're handling that, but it can't be that difficult. to make sure those things are done the next year, the next spring, or after the road construction's done, whichever it comes first. I know you do it in June and July. So because of the dust this year, we've got a lot of more frustration, I think, out there. So maybe you can explain that one to me, why, you know, those things aren't being picked up right away.
Go ahead, Mike.
Sure, thanks. So through the chair, typically the road construction program, when we remove a piece of dust control for road construction, we reapply it in the same method that it was taken out. So if it's oil, we replace it with oil. Same with the calcium. If we're talking about that particular instance, that one's a little bit tricky because that is actually, if we want to get into details, that's an enforcement issue through development now. We've been knowing about this one for a few weeks now. We've gone back and forth with the landowner there as far as who's responsible for putting on the dust control. And it's actually an outside party that has it in their development permit that they need to apply that dust control. So that was made aware to them. I mean, truthfully, that dust control, from what we were aware of, wasn't in place for the last 5 years at least. So, and that's what we've been told. So that's where I'm going from.
Okay. I'm sorry, but I was at the road program when we did it for that area, and it was signed up because it had just been sprayed before that. And so they were promised by Robin, who was there, Glacier, that dust control, the calcium would be put in from the bridge east of the barn. And that was done, they had just laid that. So I was there when that all went down because they were pretty upset with, they had just nicely got that all dust controlled and kind of happy with what was going on. I didn't like the traffic, and so Robin promised him that would be done. And when I went down to see them, they were not happy.
Right, okay.
And the oil was put in. They were quite happy with that because they did a good job, but it was they weren't happy about the time it took to get it in, which is, you guys working in your program, I didn't see that was a big issue. The biggest issue, it was mainly the calcium that hadn't got put down, and they were promised it. And there was 3 approaches that never got gravelled, and that I brought in some months ago, probably 2 months ago. Still hasn't got gravelled. Okay. And that was part of the road construction, right? Yeah. And he's talked to somebody in here more than once, so, you know, if we're going to do a road program, in my opinion, we have to be on top of that, because we're promising our ratepayers that we're going to do that. And if we fall down, the next thing's going to happen is they're not going to be signing up the way we, you know, were working before, and it wasn't working for the county. So we need to be on top of that stuff, I think, a little more.
Jim?
Mr. Chairman, appreciate the comments, Councillor Booth, that you bring forward to us. I think our staff and our team, our goal is to do the best possible service with the best and clearest guidance to our taxpayers that we can give them. Yeah. As far as communications goes, if a member of our team was called and it's not their department, our team members know that they are to do 2 things. First is to advise the caller of who they should touch base with. And secondly, when they do see that person, to ask them if that caller has actually contacted them. So there's always a gap in communication can occur with that. The most important thing is that we appreciate you bringing to our attention today some of the information that you have. So I think what's important is we can take a look into the inquiries that you have made today with regards to the graveling of the approaches and see where that is at. And then we'll do our research, and then we'll get back to you on that.
Okay.
Yeah, and one thing I wanted to say, I know the road foreman has really been good on that road because we had other issues and we got them straightened up. But I don't know what the communication is between, he can't make the decision, so who does he go to? You know, when those complaints come in, does he take them somewhere? Or does he, you know, it's not his job. So I think that maybe is where this has fallen through, because they went to the road foreman.
Mr. Chairman, or through the chair, our foremen know when they are not able to answer a question or an inquiry or deal with a complaint, that's by policy and procedure is to go directly to their supervisor. Okay, so that would be how that would be dealt with.
Okay.
And then if that person can't do it, or if there's some other unknowns, then that would continue to go, and it'll go right through up to the CAO's office where that decision can be made, or it may have to be brought back to council if there isn't budget provisions for it, so.
Okay.
Through the chair to Rex, as we were sitting here, I forwarded that email to all those people so that they have that. I forwarded on. Yes, the one you sent. I just forwarded it to Jim because he.
Mr. Chairman, just to advise you, sir, that our appointment for 9:30 is here.
There's ample time to charge it in 3 months, Dave. Welcome back. Yeah.
To turn it on.
Page 151 on your package. Welcome to council, Mr. Jennick. It's your time. Go right ahead.
Good morning. Should I talk or?
Yes, it's your turn.
Okay, my name is Darius Jedenak. I've been the Wheatland County resident since 1999. I purchased the property at 528 Griesbach Street in summer of 1999, and it needed renovations, which I did. In the fall of 1999, there was a county meeting in county organized the meeting in Galician Community Center, telling us that they had to replace all the underground utilities. People said, yes, get it done. There was the engineer's report with the priorities that basically first have to replace all the underground utilities, then have to do sidewalks and the roads and so on. The county did not follow the engineer's report recommendations. They replaced some of the underground utilities on the east side of town. East, I meant on the east side of the Highway 547 that goes to town. Then in 2002, they replaced the sidewalks on the east side of town and fixed the roads, which was not in as recommended by the engineers. Engineer says, yeah, underground utilities falling apart, get it done. So they haven't replaced on the underground utilities on the west side of town until 2005. In 2002, I purchased a second property. Therefore, I moved to the east. It's on a corner of 9th Avenue and Griesbach Street, which is on the east side of town. So I moved in there. So I vacated the property at 528 Griesbach Street. That house was sitting vacant until then. The utilities were off. I called the county to turn the water off. The power was off. The gas was off. And since fall of 2002. In December 3rd of 2003, I went into that property on 528 Griesbach Street. Half of the lot was underwater, and when I went inside the basement, it's a partial basement, so it's about 6 feet high, maybe like about 10 by 10. The rest is a crawl space. So basically, the basement was full of water. I called the county, why is the water coming into my house? One of the workers arrived at the time, then later on another arrived. I was a volunteer with the fire department. I grabbed the fire truck. I called the chief, get the approval. I got the fire truck, start pumping the water out. After a few hours of pumping, the water continued coming in. The workers disappear. I called them back again for a second time. Why is the water continue coming in? Then Dale Forsyth, at the time, he was the employee of the county. He arrived and he said, well, there's a defective water valve in front of the property. They're not able to shut it off. They're not going to be able to replace it until the following day. Okay. The following day, nothing was happening. I drove around town looking for the county workers. I found the Dale Forsyth. I said, well, you told me you're going to be replacing a valve, so aren't you doing it? Well, they're too busy with other projects. That was the response. It took until December 11th when the valve, when the service valve in front of the house got replaced. So since December 3rd till December 11th, that's what, 7 days. Give you an example what the city of Calgary, how they respond to the leaks. They send out the crew immediately, they turn it off. If they're not able to turn off the service valve, they shut off the entire block if they have to, so whatever it takes to stop the damage from flooding the property. That's how other municipalities are dealing with it. Wheatland County, well, it took them 8 days until they replaced the valve. By the way, I do have a file. It's rather excessive. If at any time there is any discrepancy, if you don't think I have the facts right, well, the file is there. There is a sworn statements, there's a court transcripts, there's a sworn statements from you employees and so on. After the flooding, I talked to the county. I tried to resolve it. It took about a year until the fall of 2004. Since I wasn't getting anywhere, well, basically I said, well, you flooded my house, you fix it. Well, that wasn't happening. So I felt I had no choice. I think there's only 1 year that I could file the claim in court. Therefore, I filed a claim in a court of Queen's Bench. I didn't have the money for lawyers. I was a single parent with 2 little kids at the time. My daughter was 10 years old. My son was 8 years old. Again, I was a full-time parent with those kids. No money for lawyers, so I was self-represented. The county had the lawyers. They kept dragging in courts for many, many years until 2008. It finally got into trial. In the meantime, there were many interlocutory applications that the county lawyers accused me of many things. One of the things was that I'm a fictitious litigant. What that means is that they say, oh, we offered the settlement, but you never, I refuse to offer the settlement. Only thing is I'm interested is the lawsuit. Well, funny enough, they never offered any settlement. And again, I do have all the documents to prove all these facts. At the point of time, at one point of time, the county agreed to go to judicial dispute resolution. So again, that took months of preparations and then a lot of time. When we went to judicial dispute resolution, I don't know if you people are familiar with that or not, but basically, well, you are willing to discuss some kind of a settlement. Well, when we arrived to the judicial dispute resolution, the county offer was 0. When the presiding judge heard that, then he said he was just leaving it. He said he will never ever do another judicial dispute resolution with that law firm or the Wheatland County. So again, it went to the court in 2008. At that time, The county employees testify, the county workers testify, there is no such thing. They're not able to determine that there is a leak unless they physically dig it out and see it, which is not true. The running water, I don't know if you people ever had the running water in your tap or anywhere else, you could hear it. The running water makes noise. All you have to do is listen for a noise. And there is the simple way is the key that you turn on the valve. You could put it on the valve. You could put it against your ear. You could hear the noise. Besides that, there's many electronic equipment that are specifically for that purpose. And the county employees, the existing employees, stated that's no way they could not determine that there's a leak unless they physically dig it out and see it. The ex-employee, the Dale Forsyth, he wasn't working with the county at the time of trial any longer. He said, yes, there is electronic equipment. He is in the field, and yeah. So somehow you employees that either they uneducated, unqualified for the job, or they simply lied. I don't know. But the simple, again, everybody in the industry, in the water industry, that's what the water distribution operator is aware that, yes, there is the equipment for determining that there are leaky valves, or if there is a leak on a pipe, whatever the case may be. There is electronic equipment, or a simple way, like I say, you just put the metal key on a valve and you could hear the noise. That's the easiest way. So based on those facts, the presiding judge determines, well, then I was trying to tell her, well, no, there is the electronic equipment, and then all you have to do is listen for a noise. She stated that, oh, I could not testify as the witness in my own case. Therefore, no, she believed the county employees. The other thing, what I had the court order was that the county is supposed to be presenting all the documents, what was done, and on a water system within last several years. On the water utilities, that was not presented. I took the I went to court because I filed I went to court to have the documents presented. That wasn't presented. Therefore, I took it to the court for confine of, for not complying with the order. At that time, they said, oh, we give you everything that you had. Well, during a trial, the county lawyer brought in a bunch of documents that weren't presented before that should have been presented. So that didn't make any sense either. They should have been found. But again, I didn't have a lawyer. I don't know how they run things. So anyways, makes the story short. I lost the lawsuit. Then you lawyers garnish my wages, and basically it amounted to because they say about a month before the trial. So that was in 5 years after the flooding. The county lawyers offered a settlement of about $10,000. I said, well, that it's been already 5 years past the flooding, so it cost me more in all the expenses. Plus, that wouldn't even cover the expenses of fixing the house. So I said no. So because you lawyers offered the settlement before the trial and I lost the lawsuit, therefore they were granted twice the costs of the expenses and the costs. So basically what it amounted to when they added it all up was about $70,000. And you lawyers garnished my wages to recover that sum, which was paid. So not only you flooded my house, but I paid you $70,000. Again, if you have any questions, there's a file right there. If you don't believe what I'm saying, well, I got all the files, all the documents on me. So in the meantime, so again, the water was off since 2002. You've been sending me water bills for that property since 2002, despite the fact that there is no service provided. when I stopped finally, I was paying them for a while. Then I figured, well, why should I be paying? You flooded my house. You sending me a bills. You threatening me that you're going to cut off the service on a property that the service been off for many years already. Like, that doesn't make any sense. When I was calling the county, I wasn't getting any answers. They said, oh, yeah, we call you back. Then nobody bothered would call me back. So anyway, so after I got fed up, I stopped paying the water bills. That was, I don't know, maybe 4 years ago, something like that. Then county was taking the property taxes out of my bank account since I purchased the house, since 1999. So then all of a sudden, when I stopped paying your water bills, then county decided that they're going to stop taking the property taxes out of my bank account. Okay. So now all of a sudden you send me a letter that, oh, you're going to take your house over, but you're going to sell it at the auction because you didn't pay us taxes. Well, it was county decision that you stopped taking those money out of my bank account, which we've been taking out since 1999. So you flooded my house. I paid you $70,000. You keep sending me water bills for a service that you're not providing for past 15 years. And now you want to take my house. Doesn't make any sense to me. So I'm asking you, do something right. Put yourself in my position. How would you feel if you were in my shoes? If that would happen to you, you answer that question to yourself. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there any questions? Is there, well, we just heard the presentation. Okay. Okay. Okay, Rex?
Hi, Darius. So you coming into council today, what would your ask be? Because when it comes to the water problem, I guess I feel, or I would assume that I can't go back in a court decision, or I can't change any of that for a myriad of reasons. But you're talking to us about us auctioning your home for taxes and arrears. So for you to come here today, what resolution are you looking for?
Well, like I say, you put yourself in my shoes. How would you feel? Do what's right.
I am
That's
trying
what
to.
I'm
I'm asking
right.
you,
How
though.
would you feel? What would you want it done? You pay, like I say, you flooded my house, so the house is right. It's damaged.
Mm-hmm.
I paid you $70,000 for a house that you wrecked. I'm paying you taxes for the property. The other thing is, 2013, the province of Alberta paid, what was it, $17 billion to the flood victims. Part of that money, it's my money, the property taxes. So how is that right? People are stupid enough to build the houses by the flood zones or by the river. Those are expensive homes. And then the government pays them from the property tax money. The government gives them to fix their houses. My house is not a flood zone. My house was flooded by the municipality. I was a single parent with 2 little kids, which I starving at times to pay all the bills, to feed those kids, to bring them up. Do what's right. That's what I'm asking.
Okay, I totally understand that. But what is right? What is fair to you? What do you ask? Do you need more time for the tax, to pay the taxes? Is there, the other question I would have was, you said you stopped paying the water bill because you weren't getting any water. Is there a bill to you somewhere that has a bill to you somewhere for water that hasn't been paid as well, or has that been, I don't know if I've seen that.
I have all the bills. I have all the documents right here if you want to see it. Like I said, there is no service to that property. I have 2 houses in Gleason. The house that I'm living at right now, I'm paying you water bills. I got no problem paying for usage. You provide the service, I pay you for it. You sending me water bills for the water that you haven't provided for 15 years, since 2002.
So through the chair, can somebody answer my question as to, does this gentleman have an invoice in water that hasn't been paid as well as taxes? Is there two different invoices, or are we just doing a tax auction based on taxes and arrears?
Do you want me to answer that question, or?
I'll let Jim, usually we take the information in and then staff goes back and takes the information and they put a thing together in an RFD and bring it back to council. I'm thinking that's would be appropriate in this case, or we're asking questions to staff. They're not prepared to answer at this right time. Was that right, Jim, or can you answer?
So thank you, Mr. Chairman. That's absolutely correct. In best practice for administration is to take the information, get the direction from council through a resolution to do a review of the matter, and then report back to council to be able to answer it fully and professionally.
Okay, does that make sense?
Yeah, so with that being said, I would, my understanding is since I've been here in the last 4 years, and the actions that I've seen, especially from our CAO, is we've truly been willing to work with our residents. So I can't tell you what we're going to do, but I'm telling you as a counselor, I'm willing to definitely listen to what we can do to work together. So I would be willing to have the staff sit down with you and hopefully come up with something. And in the meantime, I want to make sure that there's no auctions or liens placed after today until this matter comes back and is voted on by council.
Okay, Brenda, you had your hand up?
I guess my simple question is do you have intentions of paying the arrears, that is arrears? Like, are you going to pay the taxes, I guess is my question.
Why do you want me to pay taxes? I could pay taxes. However, I don't feel this is right, because why is it municipality that flooded my house takes my property taxes, pays it to people that are build the houses on the flood zones or right next to the river, yet municipality floods my house, and I have to pay them $70,000. Does that make any sense?
So
it doesn't make any sense to me.
I'm gonna give it right back to you, Darius, just because I had a phone call with regards to your file because it's on the public website, and the actual case that happened previous was long before I was on council. Your letter states the dates back in 2009 and whatever. What we're currently dealing with is just recent. And I had another taxpayer phone me and who had seen this on the website. And their statement to me is, if he doesn't get to pay his taxes, I don't want to pay mine. So I guess I'm just going to throw that back at you, Darius, because I have other ratepayers that looked at this package and went, what's this about? And phoned me. And their comment was, if you're not going to pay your taxes, then I don't want to pay mine. So that's just a sentiment going back to you that I have other ratepayers that feel differently about that. But thank you for the presentation. And yes, Rex is right, we'll take it into consideration and staff will have to do some work. But just so you know that that's what the reaction has been out there from, because you put the information publicly up there. So, but the lawsuit itself was prior, according to the note, it was 2009. It's 8 years past. So the lawsuit was finished eight years ago, like that. So now we're looking at the current stuff. So, and I guess my other question, are you living in the house?
Not in that house, no. It has to be fixed.
Okay, thank you.
I mean, I got no problem paying taxes. Yeah, I tell you what, you give me back the $70,000 that I paid you for flooding my house, and I'll pay you gladly. I'll pay you the taxes.
I'm just.
Why are you changing me water bills for the service?
Okay.
Yeah, no, and I'm just I just wanted to give you what I see, or what somebody else phoned and talked to me about last night when they looked at it. So, thanks, Glenn.
Question, just one question for clarification to the staff. Mr. Jedniak is saying that he has no service at that location, but there is a service at that location, is there not?
That's correct, through the chair. So our water bills are set up so that in Gleason, we get charged a fee from WID for conveyance to there. Regardless if the service is being utilized or not,
Right.
every property that's serviced continues to get paid, charged that conveyance fee, as well as a capital levy, which builds for future replacement of the infrastructure that we need there. So there would be no usage charges billed on an account that isn't being used, but we still send out the bills for the future improvements of that land.
Yeah. Okay, thank you.
It's a flat rate.
When was the service fixed, or has it been fixed?
The service valve was replaced on December 11th, 2003. So 8 days after the flooding. And again, in the meantime, the water continued coming into the house, creating more and more damage. And again, how the other municipalities are dealing with that type of situations, they send out the crew. Once they find out that there's a leak, they send out the crew, they shut it off. If they have to, they shut off the entire block. And it stays off, so not creating any more damage until it's fixed.
I know there was a leak in Carson. There is equipment out there where you can discover it. It was fixed just by above ground sensors. They knew where the leak was. Water pressure was dropping. It's up to a municipality when they find it to do due diligence. Fix it as soon as they can.
Okay, any other questions? Jim?
Chairman, administration's recommendation is to have council, through resolution, direct administration to research this matter. There is some historical information here. There's some knowledge and understandings and clarifications that's required. And then administration can report back to council, as well as inform Mr. Jednick of that as well. So.
Okay. So what you're asking for is a request for decision filled out, okay? Rex?
Just for clarification, are we talking, you own, through the chair, you own 2 properties in Gleason, correct?
Yes.
And so we're just referring to the one property that's closed down. There's no tax situation on the second home?
That's correct.
Okay.
It's the one, it's, what we're talking about is the
Just
property
the
that got
single
flooded.
property.
I pay, and you continue taking the taxes since 2002 on the other property, just like you did on the other house. You were taking it since 1999 at a pre-authorized payment. It was taken out every month. Now all of a sudden, I don't know, two or 3 years ago, then you decided to stop taking that money out of my bank account for the taxes on the house that got flooded.
Okay.
Yeah, you continue taking the taxes for the house that I'm residing.
Okay.
That's got nothing to do with it. That's up to date.
Okay, so then I guess I would make the motion then that we send this back to staff. Could I also include in the motion that this comes back in October?
Well, could it come back in October? Okay.
Is that a reasonable expectation? See, I just don't want this, we're the council of the day today. I don't want it to end up in November's council meeting. I'd like to, if possible, deal with it as much as possible now. So I would ask that it would come back in October.
Okay, Jim?
So through the chair, this is roll number 5148362 for the record, that this investigation and reporting would be on in October. Timelines for the second meeting of October would be in order, Mr. Chairman. The tax auction is scheduled for November, so it would be in advance of that. So the information would be available.
Rex has moved for an RFD from staff in October. Any questions? All in favor? Carried. And could I have a motion to accept Mr. Jednick's report as information? Brenda?
I so moved to accept it as information.
All in favor? Carried. Thanks for coming in.
So just so I'm clear what's going to happen, do I have to wait till
Okay.
October meeting and I have to come back on October, or how does
You
that
can
work?
talk to staff. I'm sure they'll be talking to you. And what a request for decision is staff take your information, they'll put their information in it, they'll present it to council. Council will ask more questions and make a decision, hopefully. And if not, they need more information, they'll ask for more information. I can't say if they'll make the decision then, but that's how the process is done. Does that make any sense at all?
Yeah, I just want to be clear on the
Okay.
situation. So
Yeah.
you're going to be possibly making some decision in next council
Possibly,
meeting in
yeah.
October.
Yeah, if council's satisfied with the information that's presented, they'll make a decision. Okay. So thanks for coming in.
Thanks.
And, Mr. Chairman, before they leave, a motion to have these handed back into the Secretary Treasurer,
You don't, it says right on the paper. We just already passed
Okay, Ben's made a motion.
to hand them back in.
Any questions? All in favor? Carried. And we've got a break. The 2.2E, I believe, request for decision for a fire garden.
I'll move the council approve the addition of Magda Boudreau for our additional fire guardian, effective September the 5th.
Okay, any questions? Alice? Okay. Okay, all in favor? Carried. Request for decisions. Group 2 regulation review.
Mr. Chairman, it's administration's request to have a resolution on each one of these RFDs, please.
I'm missing F here. I'm looking down the thing. I put the wrong thing. Let's go back to F, please. Request for decision disposal of equipment.
So moved.
Ben has moved that. We'll forego the previous motion. We'll save that one, okay? Is that okay with everyone? Okay, all in favor? Carried. Now we're back on to the Group 2 regulation review. And Jim, you had a request.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, with administration's request to have a resolution on each one of those individual RFDs, please. That way we can track them if we need to go back and find them.
Okay,
Thank you.
okay. So we'll be on council and council committee meetings, ministerial regulation. Brenda.
On this, to accept it as information, I haven't quite got through all of them because we were given them the hard copies. So there is still time, though, if we want to submit changes to do so as individuals, is it not? On the,
Through the chair, yes, it's to September 22nd is the
Second.
deadline, so
okay.
yes.
So we can go ahead and submit if we want to directly.
My understanding is that's correct.
Okay.
Okay.
So I'll make the motion to accept it as information on the council and committee meeting regulations.
Okay, any questions? All in favor? Carried. Subdivision and Development Appeal Board regulation. Rex has moved except for information. Any questions? All in favor? Carried. And request for off-site levies regulation. Ben has moved, accept. Any questions? All in favor? Carried. Code of Conduct for Elected Officials regulation. Don? Moved. Any questions? Alice?
My question is, I believe we have a code of conduct. Would ours be brought up to date with this code of conduct coming from the government?
Through the chair, upon the approval of that, I think it notes in the RFD that that would be required. That's
Okay.
correct. Upon approval of that regulation and the passing of that.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Any other questions? All in favor? Carried. Subdivision Development Regulation. Don moved the last one. Okay. Alice moved subdivision and development regulation.
Yes.
Okay. Any questions? All in favor? Carried. Community aggregate payment levy regulation. Rex has moved. Is there any questions?
Yeah, one
Ben.
question. I was involved when that first originally went through in Edmonton. I was involved in that provincial committee. When they're in there, they're talking about raising it from 25 cents up to 40 cents. That's the maximum you can charge, but you don't have to charge the 40%. You can charge anything up to the 40%.
To the chair, that is correct. That's my understanding.
It's not 40%.
It's not law yet, or it's not been enacted till it passes the lid. Still 25 cents today. Yeah.
I just want council to understand
Yeah.
that when it goes to 40, doesn't
Yeah.
mean we have to go to 40. We can still retain the 25 cents
Yeah.
if we want. We don't have to go to the 40 cents.
Yeah.
To the
Okay.
chair, that is correct.
Okay. Any other questions?
Page 113, under levy rate, it's 5.2 on that regulation. The maximum levy is just moved up. Yeah.
Okay, any other questions? All in favor? Carried. Community organization property tax exemption regulation. Alice,
I so move for information.
is there any questions? All in favor? Carried. Okay, request
Through
for
the chair, just a quick comment, Mr. Chairman. The CAO had asked me to advise that the CAO will bring any of the regulations with concerns to the August 19th meeting. So
Okay.
if there's any-
August 19th.
I'm sorry, September 19th meeting.
Okay, 2.2H. Okay, request for decision.
I'll move that for overnight stays for the accountants to attend the APTE app, whatever, Public Sector User Conference, October 16th to 20th.
Okay, any questions? All in favor? Carried. Alice?
There was more regulation here that we didn't go through, so what happens?
What's
with
that?
There's the other regulations that came with this package. So what do we do
Like
with
what?
that? Well, these are discussion purposes, that one.
Yeah.
Related to subclass regulations. So,
Jim?
Yes, through the chair, those are the ones that the CAO was noting that he would bring at the September 19th meeting with
So
concerns.
you're looking at the
yeah,
assessment?
I know. I'm looking at what he gave me.
Yeah. It was asked to bring it to the 19th meeting.
Okay.
Question.
All right, thanks, Jim.
So it was on assessment then is what his intention
Yeah.
was on that one.
Okay, request for decision, 2017 Assessors Association.
Also move that council approve 2 overnight stays for senior assessor to attend the 2017 Alberta Assessors Association Fall Educational Symposium and Golf Networking Function, which will be held on September 20th, 22nd in 2017 in Lethbridge.
Okay, any questions? Rex?
So through the chair, so we have, at the moment, we have a senior assessor. Do we have what we call a junior assessor? I know we have an assessor in training, but do they have a title as of yet or certification as of yet?
Through the chair, I believe that her title is considered junior assessor.
Okay.
Cheryl has completed and got her designation, so we're really pleased and proud about that. And
Absolutely.
I believe her title is junior assessor. We're just going to double check here. So
That's fine. I guess I understand it's probably not my job to question. I'm just trying to understand why wouldn't both assessors go to this? I mean, we go to our conferences and we go, why wouldn't both assessors go to that conference? To me, that would seem just as relevant.
So through the chair, just for clarity purposes, the title is Assistant Assessor, so it's not junior, it's Assistant Assessor. Just want to clarify that for Cheryl. And the reason that we're trying to reduce costs and spread our dollars as far as we can administration. So the idea is that for assessors to alternate when they go to conferences or things like this, when they come back, share that with their partner. And then, so typically they would do that. That's something that we're trying to do to reduce costs.
Okay, I guess I understand that. Is there anything that could we do it, you know, possibly this one or in the future as well? Leave it open so that if, say, a manager or somebody couldn't go, then somebody else could go in their place? Because to me, this says that only a senior assessor can go. So if for some reason Mr. Clem couldn't make it, then that would leave the door open for Ms. Clemenson to go, Mrs. Clemenson.
So through the chair, yes, we can arrange that with our wording to give that flexibility. Thank you for raising that, though it allows for that. It's an operational thing which we typically would try to do just that if that was the case. So.
Yeah, I know it's not for me to decide, but I just feel that it should be open, so.
So would you like to amend the motion?
Yeah, sorry, do I need to make a motion to amend the motion?
Ask if it's a friendly amendment and if it agrees.
A friendly amendment to 2 overnight stays for, I don't know how I need to word that, for the senior or assistant assessor. Does that thing even work?
Yes. I can say or designate.
Or designate? Yeah. Okay. Is that clear to everyone?
Excuse me, through the chair, just for clarification. The recommendation comes through and the management has already dealt with it. Your suggestion goes through the management and they look at it, but for us to change what management, we're getting into management. We're not in, that's a management decision. They don't have to follow it. That's not our place. We can make those suggestions and they look at that and change, but for us to change one of their recommendations coming forward for their staff, then we're starting to get into the management of their staff.
I guess that's what I was scared of when I had mentioned it, so.
Mention it's okay and the staff and the administration taking it back and dealing with it, but the recommendation that they brought forward, I think we need to deal with it on the way it stands.
So through the chair, Mr. Chairman, I think the idea is to meet the requirements of policy to get the overnight approval. Deputy Reeve Armstrong is correct in that administration will determine which staff member goes to that. In this particular case, it's naming only one. With the amendment that's there, if it does pass and if administration says we have concerns with that, we'll make that decision accordingly. So I have no problem with the amendment because it leaves the discretion to management to still make that decision. I just don't have the background information to know if there was that clarity for only the one position. I wasn't here at the time. Okay. So.
Brenda?
Well, and all that I can see where Rex is coming from, that should something happen in the meantime, according to the motion, only the senior assessor can go. But if Dennis comes down sick or falls and breaks his leg like Alice and does that, then they can, then by putting in designate, somebody else from that department can go or a manager can go. And at least we don't waste the other thing is some of the fees for these things are non-refundable. So at least we're not wasting the rooms and the cancellations and all that stuff. That just gives management more tools, is all it does.
Through the chair, remember it's a management decision. If something happened and the senior assessor ends up in the hospital and can't go, the management has all the authority in the world to send somebody in their place. That's got nothing to do with the motion. No. They're not sending somebody over the senior assessor. They would be sending somebody junior to the senior assessors, So the cost would be, there would be no change in cost. So I think, I understand where Rex is coming from. My concern is that we give that to the staff to deal with at the next time, but to change where they're coming from now is stepping into the role of management.
So I
Okay,
have a
I'll go
question.
back, just instead of arguing back and forth. I understand where Rex is coming from, and Jim understood it too, and he said that, yeah, that works for him. He still has, our management still has the authority to decide who's going. I'm sure the next time it comes, it will be worded a little bit differently to give the staff more leeway in who they pick to go. Because you did mention before you take turns, and in this motion, there is nothing like that to take turns. So I'm thinking if it's okay with staff, we leave the amended motion stay, if staff's okay with it. And it's just a wording issue anyway. We're not taking any authority away. We're not changing the process. We're just giving the opportunity to arise staff more leeway to pick who they want to pick. Because this is maybe a little bit confining when you just name one person. Does that make sense, Jim?
Through the chair, it absolutely does. It's an excellent
Okay.
comment to make. Ultimately, the administration is responsible for approving those attendees to those. The resolution, Mr. Chairman, is for the overnight.
It's just the overnight
Yeah.
part
Yeah,
that
the
has to
administration
come.
does the rest, yeah.
Yeah, for sure. It's just an overnight, not who picks. It's a bed. Okay, any other comments? All in favor? Carried. Request for decision, sustainability 101. Alice, did I hear you?
Yes, I so move the recommendation that council approve overnight accommodations for one night for the planning intern to attend part 1 of Sustainability 101 and Augustina Extended Education course in Camrose, Alberta for September 27, 2017.
Okay, any questions? All in favor? Carried. Reeves report. Sorry, since last meeting, all I've been doing is harvesting. I've had a few phone calls, but nothing special. Deputy Reeves report.
Excuse me, thank you. It's on the server. Anybody has any questions? And if there's no questions, I'll move the report.
Okay, any questions? All in favor of Ben's report? All in favor? Or opposed? Carried. Thanks, Alice. Okay.
Trying to get my report.
Counselor 1 report.
Thank you. I received on the FCM in August 2017 a communication from President's Corner, and I just wanted to bring it forward for everyone to read on what's going on with the FCM, working with the federal government, and talking about their new priorities on for attainable housing and housing strategy, national housing strategy, that the FCM is working with the federal government on. And this is going to be something that's coming down to all provinces across Canada. So it's just some information for council to read. My other meetings, nothing went on in August for Handy Bus. Or we did have a economic development, but I think the article in the paper brings everything out pretty well on economic development, if you've read that. So that's my report. I'll move it.
Is there any questions? Rex?
Yeah, I've had a couple concerned residents, one in particular dealing with the article that was printed in the paper regarding attainable housing. So I just want to make it clear that this council has not made any commitment to any project whatsoever within Gleason or within the county. We are just looking at what opportunities there may or may not be. So,
We had a motion.
Mike.
We had a motion last meeting
To investigate.
To investigate it. So that's the commitment we made.
That's the commitment we made, is to investigate it. But not, we haven't committed anything or any funds or anything as far as a participation in a project moving forward. So I just want to make that clear.
That's right. Any other questions for Alice's report? Brenda?
Just a comment. Jim Hawthorne was in and presented to this council on attainable housing, and it was a request for a business case. But however, the Economic Development Board and Alice has been reporting on this every time she comes back. So it's not as if we didn't have the information Jim Hawthorne presented to this council. So it's just, I guess, to put the final business case together. And then there was a motion from this council to seek legal advice on what would be best. So
Right, but we have not.
no, I know there's nothing there, but it's
nothing
not
there yet.
from not
'Cause I
moving
still
forward
have
on this all the way
just as
through.
many residents not wanting this as I do that possibly want it, so.
Yeah, and
I
the
need to
funds
be
are
very
through
careful,
different.
So they need to have that voice.
Well, and the other thing to realize that the funding for attainable housing is totally separate. It's a separate division within the province. It's not connected to seniors housing or anything else. It's specifically for attainable housing through the FC, through the feds, and through the province. So it's not connected to any other funding, and it's actually a provincial program, so.
Yeah, we'll wait for the investigation, flesh that out. Okay, any other questions for Alice? All in favor of her report? Carried. Division 2 Councillor report.
So I just wanted to report real quick that we actually did run into some issues with the pipeline running to Gleason from Standard. It was not good, it really wasn't. But they did resolve it a heck of a lot quicker than I thought they would. What the problem was the flanged valve connections were not seating properly. I don't know if they weren't torqued properly, but what they ended up doing after, I think they had numerous, I won't say the exact number, they had numerous failures, and what they decided to do is they dug them all up and checked them all. So they've checked segment 1 and 2, which I believe 2 leads up to the school. That was as of last week. I've not got an update today, and Baja was away on Friday. So sounds like so far we're in a better position. We're not behind. We were hoping to be ahead. We may not make that, but we're still on our normal schedule. So there's no questions. I'll move my report.
Any questions? Rex has moved his report. Any questions? All in favor? Carried. Councillor 3 report.
I haven't had a report for quite a while, but last Monday, we had a meeting with the Speargrass community in regards to break-ins. And there was a break-in down there. 2 quads were stolen, some damage done to a trailer. There is no security down there. They were wondering what we could do for security. We had a meeting and there was an RCMP there. He said the best thing you can do to defer or deter these guys or whatever that word is, put them off, is lighting. They're scared of lights, these guys that do the break-ins. So I think there is 2-phase power right down there where they're storing the trailers. Now, if they're willing to put up some floodlights to cover what's being stored in the yard there, that's the biggest thing. Who's going to pay for it? They're going to do a community watch. They're going to form that where you watch out for your neighbor type thing. That works. We tried it with range patrol, but the guy that has to get up at 2 in the morning, 20 below, and go out and wander, that kind of cooked that. But the biggest thing, watch out what's going on in your community. Any strange vehicles, these are bad guys. They're coming out of southeast Calgary, and there's also a gang operating from our neighbors to the east here. they're stealing stuff, they're giving it to the drug dealers. The drug dealers are, let's say, a half ton or whatever, they'll chop it and then get rid of the vehicle that way. But mainly, it's supplying drugs to the drug users. And that's the guys who are doing the stealing. As for the lights, I think it might be a good idea. It'll help the guys see what they're stealing. Down there, they took, like you've seen the corral gates where they're bolted through a 8-foot, post. They unbolted it, took it apart, and got the quads. You know, these guys had plenty of time to do what they were doing. So they're going to have a meeting. I was hoping somebody would be here today. They're going to have their own meeting to see what they could do for security. Second one, concern over the price of the fire hall going up $1 million. That's a big concern. Whoever estimated the price of the original fire hall was out to lunch. Excuse my language. And Carsland does not and should not have to pay any additional money to the raised. They've raised close to $480,000 towards the initial estimate of the fire hall. And they should not be expected to raise another nickel. They should go by that first estimate, because everybody chipped in, all the clubs down there, even the Cub and Scouts donated. So, third issue, water bills. Everybody's water bill is going up. For no reason. They phone here, try to get it. Why did my water bill triple? Some of them double. They're not getting an answer. So somehow tell these people why their water bills are going up. That's about it. I'll move my report.
Okay, any questions? Alice?
Just a comment, yeah, there was some thefts in Gleason just a week ago, a trailer and a truck, but it was more of a local opportunity, people leaving their keys in their vehicle. So people have to start taking some responsibility and lock up a little more. That isn't stopping them anyway. If they want in, they're getting in. Water bills in Gleason, I think Rex has heard that too. They're doubled and they don't seem to be getting an answer either. So maybe that's something Jim can take back to the CAO. And I understand that we're trying to collect for future, costs for replacement.
No,
And we're trying to bring.
that's not accurate. I gotta.
Just let Alice finish.
Yeah. So water lines have to be replaced down the way, and that's what I got told by the CAO. Didn't satisfy me, and people in the town are getting more concerned. They're not making more money, costs are going up. So I think we need to address that overall in the county. I agree with you.
Okay, Jim?
So through the chair, I appreciate those comments, Councillor Van de Velde and Booth. I just made a note that we'll bring that forward to our CAO, and I think just talking with Lisa here, we can also put some information that goes in our county connector and possibly even to the utility, in our utility bills as well about that. So.
Put it on here because someone's gonna ask me the same.
We'll look into it and see if there's more issues to it, but part of it is that the consumption has gone up with people watering their gardens and stuff. So that was out in the utility bills, and we've had it up on social media as well. Just warning people, like, remember that while you're watering your garden, you are getting charged for that water usage.
Okay, any other questions or comments? Rex?
Yeah. So I think we do need to make sure that we put on our website that we make aware of the costs of the water, because what was I going to say to Alice? I mean, we're actually not recuperating the cost of what it costs the county to produce the water. So for instance, we recover 42% of the costs for Carsland as of 2015. For Speargrass, we recoup 70% as of 2015. For Rosebud, we recoup 18%. And for Gleason, we recoup 43%. The balance of that percentage is subsidized by the county. So people have to understand that that water is, they still pay taxes within the county, and that would come out of their taxes as well. But for other people that have their own wells and pay for their own water, that also comes out of their taxes too. So the balance is funded by all of the ratepayers. So that's something that people don't understand. So yes, water, I believe, within the county is going to end up in a cost recovery, which has been mentioned more than once within this county. So yes, we are going to have to look at, or sorry, they are going to have to look at their own water consumption and do things that they can do to try and keep their bill down. So I hope, sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you before, but I hope that helps explain some of that.
Okay, any other? Don?
Does that include in Speargrass watering of the golf course?
I wouldn't be the best person to answer that, but I mean, I would assume that that's a private deal, so they would pay for that. So yeah, it would probably be subsidized, but yeah, I would assume they all pay the same rate. So.
Okay. Okay, any other questions? Brenda?
Speargrass and Muirfield, are they using plant water to water their golf courses? My assumption was is that it would be irrigation water for those, so it would be coming out of a, because I can honestly say that I'll check on Muirfield, but I would think that golf courses.
Muirfield is a different,
I
that's
know,
their
but
own.
Speargrass, even Speargrass.
I wouldn't know, and I guess it's up to them to where they
But
get
I
their
don't,
water from.
I would like to actually find that out, because they should be directly through irrigation. I can't see them using planted water for that.
Jim?
So through the chair, administration will look into that and advise accordingly.
Okay. Any other questions? Alice's report. No, that was Don's report, and then we started the questions. Yes,
Just
sorry.
through the chair, just for information, I know there's been some issue in Calgary with a couple of ratepayers, or 3 or 4 ratepayers with some huge water bills. And their only avenue is to deal with NMAX, I think it is, and they're not having any luck there. But I agree with what you're saying, that consumption makes a big difference when it turns hot and dry. And if anybody ever checks, if they have a toilet that's running a little and they don't get that fixed, you would be surprised at what that does to a water bill. Like, it will double it in no time at all. Mm-hmm. And people don't realize that at a leaky hose or a leaky tap or that adds up real fast when you're on a meter, real fast.
Okay, all in favor of Don's, Rex, you got it?
No, I'm waiting, sorry.
Oh. All in favor? Carried. Division 4 Councillor Report. It's on a request for decision on there on this part of the report, I guess. Councillor Bland was not able to make the meeting today.
I'll so move the recommended action. The council approved the request for the Cheadle Community Club to supply and haul gravel for their shed project.
Okay, any questions?
Do we not normally put some kind of amount? I thought Ben usually does that up to.
I don't know. Want to
See,
put
I
it?
guess
Is any amount or willing? I think at the discretion of Public Works.
At the discretion of Public Works, yeah, and it does say a shed, so I'm assuming we're not talking about 100 by 100 shed. I'm assuming we're talking about a small shed.
Yeah, and it is a community thing too. Any other questions? All in favor? Carried. don't need a motion for a report, do we? If that's all it was? I don't think so. Okay, Division 5 Counselor report. I have added on here.
Yeah.
Go
So
ahead.
just another note, I too had break-ins up at Lakes and Muirfield. That's what started the whole process. There's also been some holdups in Division 2 that has been reported to me as well. So, out on the highway. So, but that's not part of my report. I'm just wishing to announce that I was accepted on the FCN for the central zone to represent committees on the FCM. So the committees include Committee of the Whole, Prairies and Territories Regional Caucus, Standing Committee on Environmental Issues and Sustainable Development, Standing Committee for International Relations, and Rural Forum. So just to let you know that the process is still going on, and I was accepted to sit on those committees to represent the central zone. So last year I didn't get back on, this year I got back on. So that was just an announcement. Did you
Okay.
want all those?
Thank you. Anything else, Brenda?
Pardon me?
Anything else?
No, I so moved my report, sorry.
Any questions? All in favor? Carried. CAO's report.
It's a 23-page document.
Ben's moved, accept his information. Is there any questions? All in favor? Carried. Correspondence. A letter from Municipal Affairs. Oh, yeah. About the grant for decommissioning and repowering wind farms. Thank you letter from the Strathmore Handy Bus. A letter from the Village of Rocky Ford that they've spent some money on their memorial clock that the county had given them. I think that was CRISP funding. A letter from, I believe it's the town of Drumheller now, on what they've spent their money on. And a letter on cannabis legalization primer. I guess everybody's reading the FCM. I think that was the last one. Let me scroll to the end. That's the last one. Is there any questions or concerns on any of the correspondence? To accept them all as information. Rex?
Did you move it already?
No. Rex is moved for information. All in favor? Carried.
I do have a question.
Okay.
So I was looking over the decommissioning of repowering of a wind farm. So, and I was looking at that, and it is put out by Canway, is that what I gather? And is that a provincial, is that the provincial body that is supposed to be covering these, or is this a private, I guess? I can't. And, well, and I know that in this document, it reads under who pays for decommissioning or repowering. And I noticed that unless the arrangements are made, the wind farm owner is responsible for the end life of arrangements and cost. But it states that each jurisdiction may have its own approach to decommissioning requirements in the wind industry. So my question is there legislation on that?
I don't think so. There was a forum here or presentation.
Well, we have them.
quite a while ago.
We have Mistakis
Yeah.
Institute looking at it.
Yeah, their
And-
information was that, no, it's the landowner, beware.
Well, and I'm just wondering whether that's a resolution that we might want to put forward for some kind of regulation on wind farms, just like the A&E. And I know Mistakis is working on it. Right.
I would think we would wait till Mistakis gets their study done.
And then-
And use that as information on what to do and to move forward.
And I can't remember, but is Mistakis also working on trying to recommend like legislation on it? Was that the end result of
I
that?
don't know if it was legislation or checklist type thing. I'm not
So-
sure, but we're part of.
Yeah, I know. But I think that's something I'd like to see this back in, with the ASB wherever.
I'm sure when McCassis comes, it'll be part of. I don't know
what I
what
mean? Like
meeting
somehow
we're
I'd like
in.
this connected to our environmental gal. I'm trying to think of her name, sorry. Yeah, Elizabeth.
Yeah.
And I would like to see her have this and then put this forward to, because I'm kind of concerned about that, like the
Yeah.
AER versus the CA. CA, what's this one? This one is
Can we, or, yeah.
CanWay.ca.
I agree, they gotta look at all the information that's out there.
Well, and I think that that would be somebody saying that this is how it's supposed to be done. So if this isn't legislation, right, all it is information.
Yeah, okay, Alice?
Further to what you were saying, Brenda, I know we had some bylaws that we put in place when we did the first 60-some up in Ben's area. And it might be a good idea to go through this, and if there's anything we can gain or glean to change our bylaws to, further protect how the decommissioning is done in the county of Wheatland, it might be a good point to keep on top of it and maybe change some of our bylaws for itself.
Well, I
Because
guess-
that's all we can do right now is bylaws, right?
And I guess I'm looking at this and it looks like it's an official document of some type.
Yeah.
And yet there is no legislation behind it, right? Like it's giving you information, but there's no legislation, right?
It's up to the owner or the. Alternate energy.
Jim?
Through the chair, the Agricultural Service Board Department and our planning development team, they work and communicate together on these things. And when it comes to the reclamation, that absolutely would be a part of the development permit when that closes down, what procedures they have to do. It's a good comment in the sense of if there's new technologies or new information that comes, we need to be aware of that, and I appreciate your comment, Councillor Booth, pertaining to that. What I'll do with this, Mr. Chairman, I'll bring it forward to through the CAO's office to Alyssa so that when Mistakis Institute report and the discussion around that, that would come to Agricultural Services, and then at that point in time they could move it forward from there in whichever means it seems appropriate at the time. I think the information is good though, and for sure the management of that land and our Ag Services is on top of that too, so it's important.
So, the dilemma is, we have one more, we have three things with an appointment at 1 o'clock. Do we want to wait till 1 o'clock? Or you want to take a chance and do it now? Wait till 1? We're expecting company? We don't know. We always do, but last time we missed it too. That's the only reason why I'm saying it. Okay, see you all at 1 o'clock. Yes?
I'll ask Ben. Somebody's been asking about why the county hasn't got enough float. All the local towns.
And we talked about that last meeting, Don.
Well, I had to go to that funeral.
Oh,
It's only, what's her name that's asking?
I know.
And asked.
Mr. Chairman, have you adjourned for?
Yes, I
recess?
said 1 o'clock. I'll see
Thank
everyone
you.
here. Yeah.
Making a big deal of it, but that's just